The hangar fell silent when Commander Jake Morrison pointed at Lieutenant Sarah Chen and announced she'd be flying the F-35 demonstration mission. Laughter rippled through the assembled Navy SEALs and pilots. Everyone knew this wasn't an honor, it was mockery disguised as opportunity. Sarah had transferred to the Naval Aviation program 6 months earlier, already carrying the weight of being the first woman in her family to serve. She'd grown up watching her father, a decorated Marine, display his medals with quiet pride. He'd passed away before seeing her complete flight school, leaving behind only a worn journal filled with his thoughts on leadership and courage. Sarah kept it in her locker, reading entries whenever doubt crept in. Morrison's reputation preceded him. He'd spent 20 years building a wall of tradition around his unit, convinced that excellence belonged to those who'd always held power. When Sarah's assignment came through, he'd made his feelings clear through dismissive glances and assignments designed to prove she didn't belong. This F-35 mission felt like his final mover, public humiliation he expected would send her running. The demonstration flight was scheduled for visiting congressional leaders, high-ranking military officials, and international allies. It demanded precision aerobatics, split-second timing, and absolute mastery of one of the world's most sophisticated aircraft. Morrison assigned it to Sarah knowing she had minimal F-35 hours, expecting her to decline and prove his point about women lacking the nerve for elite operations. Sarah stood motionless as the room watched, waiting for her retreat. Instead, she met Morrison's eyes and said simply, "Yes, sir. When do we brief?" The following 72 hours became a blur of preparation. Sarah arrived at the simulator before dawn and left long after midnight. She studied every system, every contingency, every weather pattern. Her hands trembled during the first simulator run. She'd crashed spectacularly, exactly as Morrison predicted, but she climbed back in, again and again. On the second night, she pulled out her father's journal. One entry caught her eye. "Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's deciding your mission matters more than your terror." She traced his handwriting with her finger, feeling the weight of his wisdom. He'd effaced his own battles against skeptics who said a kid from immigrant parents could unlead Marines. He'd proven them wrong not through words but through unshakable dedication. Sarah called her mother that night, voice cracking. "I don't know if I can do this." Her mother's response was gentle but firm. "Your father never knew if he could either. He just knew he had to try." By the mission morning, Sarah had logged 48 simulator hours. She'd memorized every maneuver, practiced until her reflexes moved faster than thought. Walking to the aircraft, she felt Morrison's gaze burning into her back. He expected disaster. Part of her wondered if he was right. The F-35 roared to life beneath her as she taxied toward the runway. Radio chatter filled her helmet. Then Morrison's voice cut through. "You can still abort, Chen. No shame in admitting you're not ready." Sarah's finger hovered over the radio button. She thought about the easy path landing, walking away, letting him be right. Then she thought about her father facing down prejudice about every person who'd been told they weren't enough, about the young girls who might one day want to fly. "Negative, sir," she replied. "Thunderbird 1 is cleared for takeoff." What happened next would be replayed on military channels for years. Sarah didn't just complete the demonstration, she transcended it. Her vertical climb was flawless. Her barrel rolls were poetry. She pushed the F-35 to its limits with such precision that seasoned pilots watching from the ground stood in stunned silence. The finale, a high-speed pass followed by an impossible-seeming vertical recovery, drew gasps from the crowd. When she landed, the tarmac erupted in applause. Sarah climbed from the cockpit, legs shaking, barely believing what she'd accomplished. The crowd parted as Morrison approached. She straightened, expecting criticism disguised as congratulations. Instead, Morrison did something that shocked everyone. He dropped to one knee. "I was wrong," he said, voice breaking. "I let my prejudice blind me to excellence. You didn't just prove you could fly that mission. You showed me what real courage looks like, facing impossible odds when easier paths existed." Tears lined his weathered face. "I'm sorry, and I'm honored to serve with you." Sarah helped him stand. "We serve together, sir. That's all that matters now." In that moment, the wall Morrison built didn't just crack, it crumbled. Sarah proved that worthiness isn't determined by tradition or assumption. It's forged in the quiet hours when no one's watching, in the decision to rise when falling would be easier, in the courage to fly when others expect you to crash.